on in, guys. It's your old pal CHH. It's always a good day when we're talking about Friday the 13th physical media. So today we are talking about the 4K UHD release of the classic Friday the 13th Part 2. Now this comes from the Paramount Scares box. Now this video, it's not sponsored by Paramount. You know, I did the video on the box set where I said that they sent that to me. We looked at all that. This video is just me talking about the actual release of Friday the 13th Part 2. Because in reality, you can get this separately already. I know that overseas there was, I think it might have been a French release. They're doing a Part 2 4K if you want to get that. Or if you are going to get the Scares box set and you're just interested to see what it's going to look like, you know, this is going to cover that as well. And obviously comparing this to the previous releases and also kind of comparing it to the Part 1 4K because there's a lot of dissension with that release. So without further ado, guys, let's get right into this release. And I want to start with this right now. Somebody was asking me about, is there the flash in the intro after Alice's death? And the answer is yes, they do have that flash right before the credits kick in. So that we'll cover right then and there. The other thing we'll cover is the menu screen on the 4K itself, because I know that as a Nerdy Friday fan, I like to cover these things. So here's what the menu screen's like. It's very simple, just showing you the silhouette of the character like you see on the cover of this. And the Blu-ray release is the way that they've been doing it for the previous Blu-ray releases as well. They're kind of just having like the same exact thing, but at the bottom it also has extras, so it's pretty much identical. Simple, but I like it. I actually prefer those menu screens over the Scream Factory one because there's no music, it's silent. I like a plain, simple, but nice menu screen. Give me the logo and silence. That's what I'm all about. I hate it when they play clips over and over from the movie in the intro. Okay, guys, without further ado, let's jump into the 4K review. So, without the slip, which it's this right here, without the slip, we're getting the release that looks just like this in there, which I'm going to assume will look identical whenever they put this out. Maybe it'll have a slip cover with the actual artwork on here, but here we have it, guys. This comes with a Blu-ray and a 4K per usual. So let's talk about the picture quality on this. You know, the Part 2 4K scan Blu-ray from Scream Factory was really good. And as a matter of fact, I would say that that was probably the best out of the four in terms of picture quality. I thought Part 2 just had this lovely look to it. So this obviously has a lot to contend with, and I'm happy to say this, in my opinion, is the absolute definitive way to watch Part 2. So getting into Part 2, you're seeing a mix between clips from Part 1 as well as Alice in the new house she's staying at with her green jumpsuit on. And I'm like, wow, this looks really good, and it looks great, especially when we're seeing the kid do the walk-in through the puddle. There's a lot of clarity in the nighttime stuff. We see Jason come up right before he can grab that kid, and that scene's looking great. Here's one thing I did notice, and you know, when we're having the flashback moments from Part 1 in the beginning, there is a difference in the tone and the lights. You're going to see some moments from Part 1 that are matching Part 2's in terms of like the brightness. Right away, I'll say this, the brightness for Part 2, there's no issue like we had from Part 1. This one looks phenomenal. There's no adjusting the brightness on the TV. There's no, man, this looks dark notion you'll feel on this one. This one was perfect. But you'll notice something when you're watching the intro with Alice, when you're watching the scenes that are flashback scenes, some of them looked brightness the exact same level as what we're seeing in the real-time stuff from Part 2, and then there's a few moments where it gets to that dark stuff that we're seeing from the 4K of Part 1. Not jarring, just a few moments, but you'll notice that. Where this movie truly transforms, guys, is as soon as we get to Pack and Act. Sensational. I'll say this, besides Part 1, which was contentious, and, you know, there's a notion that Paramount either A, screwed this up, or B, there's a smaller group of people that say, well, I think that's just how Part 1 truly looks. I think a lot of the releases before that just kind of brightened it up and made it more home video-esque. I've not had too many issues with Paramount 4Ks. As a matter of fact, more times than not, I've been very happy. Part 2 is no exception. This definitely is the absolute best that this movie can look. This was such an enjoyable way to watch Part 2. The theatrical feel of this and the cinematic quality of this 4K is bar none. There is just nicest drop of film grain you're going to see in this. And the HDR on this was really noticeable. And as a matter of fact, the difference from the HDR on this compared to, you know, the stuff from the Scream Factory release is where you're going to notice the biggest surprise. When we see that goofball redheaded guy, he's wearing a yellow shirt when we get introduced to him in the beginning. Man, it's bright. The colors are rich beyond words on this, and you know, the forest looks sensational. I can't tell you how happy I was with this. And for the people that have complaints about Part 1's 4K and they're wondering, whoa, what's going to happen with the 4K for Part 2? Fear not, this was done as well as anybody could do a 4K. There's moments in this 4K too where you really get to see even more of what's truly going on. The scene where the cop's driving out of Packanack after he's found the kids crossing into Camp Blood, and he's like, what are you kids doing here? He's leaving. You'll see that moment of Jason running through the woods. This was the first time I've ever seen it to where it's so crystal clear. You can see the sack on the head. You can see him running through. Looked great. And even when we get to the moments of the film that are darker, like when the cop goes into Jason's hut, obviously it's indoors and it's darker. The clarity is great. So the nighttime stuff as well is just sensational. And what's great about this one too was, like, I'm a Friday fanatic, so when I'm watching these films, I'm looking at everything. The HDR even makes the pinball machines out of focus, mind you, behind Ginny when they're talking at the bar pop. There's obviously that big Kiss pinball machine, which my uncle has till this very day, that when you look in the back, man, even the HDR on this makes like that stuff pop. So I am a fanatic. I understand that, but I will gladly say that in terms of picture quality, guys, I'm going to give this the perfect 10. I was really kind of like, man, that Scream Factory Blu-ray looks so good. I don't know how much better, but without question, the definitive way. Does not have any of the issues Part 1 had, so super happy with that. So let's talk about the audio stuff for this release. You know, until I actually upgrade my system, I can't comment too much on this. I have the sound bar in here, and it sounded good, don't get me wrong, but I'm sure that most people that have the setup for the Dolby audio will be able to confirm how much better or how crisp and great that is as well. I mean, the audio was great on this, don't get me wrong, but I can't really tell you just how good that kind of setup is going to make this release sound. One thing that this doesn't have, though, that I think is going to be exclusive to more than likely just the Scream Factory release is the Carl Fullerton deleted scene gore sequences in this. This release does not have that. What it does have is the Inside Crystal Lake Memories featurette, which Peter Bracke is talking to the guy that owns Dark Delicacies website. We have Friday's Legacy Horror Conventions, Lost Tales from Camp Blood Part 2, which is those kind of weird home movies. I think somebody that actually made one of these watches my channel, so if you were that guy, please comment so I remember. Jason Forever, which is a great featurette, which is playing behind me, which was a convention, Fangoria convention in 2004 in New Jersey, where they kind of interview some of the Jasons, and then they do post interviews. It's a great featurette. It's a vintage featurette, but it's a great featurette. And the original theatrical trailer. So, you know, this 4K is hopefully going to be the standard going forward for Friday 4Ks. Keep in mind, Part 3 very well could do what the Universal Jaws 3 does because of the being filmed in 3D and how, you know, those cameras really can't do 4K with complete justice. There is a chance that Part 3's 4K could be AI'd. Which, just be ready for that. There's a chance, y'all. But with all that being said, Part 2's 1000%, in my opinion, this is the definitive way to watch Part 2 Friday the 13th from now on. Just perfect. If you're going to get the Paramount Scares box set, go right to Part 2, guys. You guys are going to absolutely love this. And I'm assuming the rest of these are going to look good as well. I haven't watched any of them yet. Obviously, Breakdown is the one I'm probably going to go to next. But yeah, this one, I put my name on it, how good it looked. Completely no issues like we saw from Part 1 with that being really dark. This was just literally perfect. So there you have it, guys. Friday the 13th Part 2 on 4K. Great job on restoring that Paramount. Couldn't have done it. I can't see anybody doing it better than that. So totally happy with that. So there you have it, guys. So guys, let me know if you're going to try to get that release separately, if you're getting the Scares box set, and if you're getting it mostly because of Part 2. Let me know down below, guys. But I can tell you this, there is only one way I ever want to watch this now, and it's that 4K. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see y'all next time. Take care. Huge, giant thank you to all of my Patreon supporters. Without you guys, this would not be possible. To get behind-the-scenes photos, videos, music, private live streams, and much more, you can subscribe to my Patreon for as little as $1 a month. Thank you to my patrons.